This program is supported by San Juan Regional Medical Center, who's expanding its services to offer low-cost blood screenings all year round, now offering walk-in convenience to get the blood tests you want when you want them. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, is available in Farmington at the hospital's laboratory and the Outpatient Diagnostic Center on 30th Street. Also in Aztec at San Juan Health Partners Family Medicine at 120 Llanos Street. With nearly 20 tests available, there's an option for everyone. MyLabs, patient-ordered testing, a wellness service of San Juan Regional Medical Center. Ten minutes past 8 o'clock. It is Wednesday morning, December the 12th. Good morning, everyone. I'm Scott Michlin, and thank you for tuning in to KSJE 90.9 FM and 90.9 HD, the information and cultural beacon of the Four Corners, broadcasting from San Juan College. Special good morning to our viewers who are watching us live from our visual radio studio this morning on the KSJE Facebook page and YouTube channel. We invite you to check that out as well this morning, because coming up in just a moment, my guest on the program today from San Juan Regional Medical Center, Pip Howard, is going to be here. We're talking all about breastfeeding and healthy babies and all the things that the hospital is doing to promote breastfeeding and some of the healthy baby initiatives. So stay tuned for that conversation in just a few moments. Later on, around 8:55 this morning, to round out the hour, we will take our weekly trip to the Encouragement Lab, and that is where Communications Professor Dr. Mike Haddabaugh will be joining us from. And this morning, Dr. Haddabaugh's message is that our dream is too small, and he'll explain what that means coming up this morning about 8:55. At 9 a.m., Mick Hess is on the radio, roving with the arts. We're hearing some Christmas oratorios from the great composer Bach. You'll hear that coming up today at 9 on KSJE. And then at 10:30, it is our local and regional author program, right on Four Corners. And today, our host, Tracy Hales-Vass, is interviewing author Jonathan Thompson, and he is the author of the book you see on the screen, for those of you who are watching, River of Lost Souls, a book about the Gold King mine spill in southwest Colorado. You'll hear that interview today at 10:30 right here on KSJE. And of course, you can always check out our programming schedule and see what's coming up on the radio by going to our website. That is at ksje.com. It's also where you'll find our regional events calendar, and want to share a few events for you of what is coming up. A busy weekend of holiday events, including the African Drumming Concert at San Juan College coming up on December 14th. Also, the Irish Christmas in America performance on December 14th. The Christmas extravaganza here on the 15th. And, of course, San Juan Regional doing a Freedom from Smoking class on January 8th, early next year. Today, right now, the Focus on Farmington coffee event is taking place at the Artifacts Gallery in downtown Farmington. Open house at the Echo Food Bank also happening today. You can get more details on all of these events and many, many more, as you can see, by going to our website at ksje.com and clicking on the regional events calendar. Well, let me get to my guest who is here with me this morning. Pip Howard is back to talk a little bit about healthy babies and all the things that San Juan Regional is doing to make sure that everyone in the community knows about breastfeeding and the resources available. Pip, good morning.
Good morning, Scott.
Thank you for being here.
Well, I'm usually up and at work at this time of day, so this is just a different type of work today.
One more thing, and I'll throw a camera in your face. So there you go. But I appreciate you being here, because you always bring with you a lot of good information for folks and talk about what the hospital is doing to really encourage breastfeeding and healthy babies and all these things that really has no downside that I can see.
It doesn't have any downside. It can be a lot of work, especially at the beginning, and for first-time moms. It can be quite difficult. People think of it as a very natural process, but I'm always hearing stories, well, I tried to breastfeed and it didn't work that well. And many times I'll say, well, when was this? Was it many years ago? Was it recently? Was it yesterday? And we're there 6 days a week for all moms who deliver at San Juan Regional. And
so if someone does say that to you, is there something that you can say, well, let's figure this out, or make it a better situation for that mom?
Many times it's, especially with first-time moms, it's a lack of experience. They've never tried to do this before. They've never held a baby in their arms and try to breastfeed the baby. We always, I have people in my classes, because I also teach breastfeeding classes, I have them hold a baby doll, and I always joke with them that the way we hold baby dolls or other people's babies is designed so they don't breastfeed.
Right.
But when we hold our own babies, it's a very different process to hold a child to breastfeed than it is to hold somebody else's baby.
And a new mom may not know the differences, I suppose,
Yeah,
or ever been shown
really
the differences.
It really depends on the individual. Is this someone who has been around many women breastfeeding? But for many young women, they've never been around anybody who breastfed. Maybe their own mother didn't breastfeed. Maybe their own grandmother didn't breastfeed. So just helping someone simply place a baby in their arms and understand how the mechanics work can be quite a challenge.
Sure. And before we go too much further, I do want to ask you about the known benefits of breastfeeding, because, again, I think science, and we're learning more and more about the benefits of a mom breastfeeding her baby.
So there are benefits for both the baby and for the mother.
Both of them.
Yes, because the babies tend to be healthier, and that sounds pretty generic if I just say babies are healthier. Right. But babies specifically have less risk of ear infections, and what mother hasn't taken her baby to the doctor with an ear infection? Less risk of respiratory infections, less risk of stomach upsets, because breast milk is incredibly digestible. And the other thing is, unlike formula, breast milk is tailored specifically from that mother to that baby. So the mother responds to the baby and the baby responds to the mother. So there's a two-way communication going on with this. And mothers actually, breast milk actually adapts for the individual circumstances with the baby.
Gotcha. So, so this is just well documented that this is the best
this is very
thing
well documented
for babies to have. And from when to when? From birth to how long?
From the moment of birth, really. We put one of the changes we've made with the BabyFriendly Hospital initiative that we've been working on for the last 3 years is we attempt to put every single baby in immediate skin-to-skin contact with the mother, which is a big change, because we used to take babies, the moment they were born, they were taken away and examined and checked. Does the baby have 5 fingers and 5 toes? And are they breathing? Well, we still want to make sure they're breathing. But rather than having the nurse be the first person who has contact with the baby, the mom is the first person who has contact with the baby. And we literally place the baby in skin-to-skin contact with their mother the moment after they're born.
And that really has many, many benefits too, as you mentioned, right?
It has many benefits. I always encourage people when they're thinking about this, put yourself in the baby's shoes. If you were this baby who had been inside the mother for the last 9 months or thereabouts, where would you want to be the moment you came into this world?
Yeah, it was kind of dark and quiet for a long time, and now I have this new environment I'm dealing with, right?
Yeah,
it's bright and noisy and cold. Yeah.
Yeah, so putting babies back into skin-to-skin contact with moms really helps stabilize them. It stabilizes their heart rate, it stabilizes their respiratory rate, it stabilizes their temperature, which is very important. Babies need, babies come out wet, so we do dry them off, and then we'll cover both mom and baby with a blanket, and then it also stabilizes their blood sugar. So all of these things are very beneficial. Babies tend to be calmer, and they actually have a set of steps that they go through immediately after birth. There's been a lot of research done on this. The baby goes through. The baby initially, as we know, but when babies are born, they cry.
Right.
There is a purpose to this. It's not about distress. It's about bringing their first breath into their lungs to expand their lungs.
Because they haven't been using their lungs.
They haven't been using their lungs. Months. Their lungs are like little folded organs inside of their body, and the first breath immediately expands the lungs. So they need to expand the lungs. There is a purpose to this crying. And then babies go through a series of steps where they become familiar with their mom. They can actually move around. People are amazed if you see videos of newborns placed on their mother's abdomens and allowed just to stay there without being disturbed, that the babies are incredibly capable and they can move around. Babies have what we call a stepping crawling reflex, where they actually start to try and crawl, and a baby can also use their hands to push up and move their heads and bodies around and find the breast and suckle within the first hour or so of life.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing.
Nature, right?
It's nature,
and
yeah.
It's that ingrown response for
it is,
millennia,
absolutely,
right?
yes.
I mean, of what moms and babies have been doing.
Yes.
So, Pip Howard is my guest this morning. We are talking about some of the work that she does at San Juan Regional Medical Center to help new moms and other moms and repeat moms and everybody,
all
basically.
Moms. All moms in the community. We are available for breastfeeding support for anybody who can drive down to see us. Sorry, we do not make house calls at this point in time.
Okay.
But we are available. If a mom needs help from us, you can call us at 505-609-6484, and we are present at the hospital 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. Many days, many weeks. We are also available Wednesday and Thursday evenings later in the day. And so if anybody wants to make an appointment, that 505-609-6484 is a great number to call, even if you just got a question.
Right. Okay. And this is a free service, right?
This is a free service.
Free to
it's
anyone in the
courtesy of
community.
San Juan Regional. This is part of the community mission of the hospital that we give back to the community.
Very good. And you mentioned earlier this Baby-Friendly Hospital initiative that I do want to ask you about, too, because this has been going on now for a while at San Juan Regional to get this designation. And tell us what this means, because it really involves everybody, almost every employee at the hospital.
It does involve every employee. We developed a basic training. It's only 1 hour long that all employees, including ourselves, have to go through every year, that they need reminders of this. Because when you think about it, when you come into the hospital, it isn't just an experience with that floor, with those nurses. You encounter dietary staff. You encounter janitors, potentially. You might encounter maintenance people.
Right.
So you encounter everybody. So everybody needs to know a little bit about this, and that we are working on this pathway towards being designated. We haven't received our final approval, but we went through a survey in November. It took us about 3 years to go through all the steps, and this involves in much more intense education for all the nurses who work on our floor, who work with new moms and babies. And then, like I said, lesser education for all hospital staff. There's specific education for all the doctors who work on our floor, all the midwives who work on our floor, the pediatricians who see the babies afterwards, and everybody needs to complete their education. And I think we actually wound up with 100% compliance, so we had everybody participate in this education that was provided to them free of charge.
Got it. And so what this is doing then is to get everybody on the same page when it comes to helping and dealing with babies and new moms and getting a certain set of standards that the hospital meets each and every day. Yes,
it is, absolutely. And, you know, when one goes to nursing school or medical school, I think things are changing a little bit, and there is more emphasis on learning about breastfeeding, but historically, none of us were really told a whole lot about it. So if you wanted to breastfeed, great. But there was a concern because in this country, at any rate, from about the 1940s and 50s, many moms were urged at the time to formula feed. This was the new scientific method.
Right.
You didn't, you know, you're going back to work. You don't want to be tied to your baby and stuck at home. So there was, you know, part of women's lib to some degree that women were encouraged. So, as I said,
the marketing was...
There was a lot of marketing in it.
Incorrectly so, that the formula was just as good as the breast milk, which I think has been proven not the case.
Formula is not as good as breast milk. It provides adequate nutrition.
Okay.
We believe.
Uh-huh.
It provides the correct amount of calories. But Formula
for all the other things that you mentioned, though, some of the health benefits and other things, formula doesn't do as well as breast milk.
Formula doesn't do as well as breast milk. And really for moms, because I mentioned that babies are healthier, but moms have a decreased risk of certain types of female cancer, of breast cancer, ovarian cancer. Moms have a decreased risk of developing diabetes, or if they have gestational diabetes, they're at decreased risk of developing type 2 diabetes if they do breastfeed. And the longer they breastfeed, the greater the impact is.
I see. And so you mentioned, too, that was kind of a school of thought back in the 40s and 50s of the moms going back to work, that women's lib in the 1970s, and so formula was the alternative, I guess. But today, there's a lot.
Formula was heavily promoted, and of course, there's money in formula.
Yes. Someone's making money.
There's money in formula,
right.
But there's also environmental waste involved in formula. So if you breastfeed, it's a very simple process. Mom produces the milk, baby gets the milk. Now,
right.
If you're returning to work and pumping, which we also provide support for that, then there are more components involved in it. But still, doing that, the mom is able to pump her breasts and provide her milk to the baby. But if you're simply staying home or simply breastfeeding, you can do it with very little equipment. All you need is a mom and a baby,
right,
most of the time. Whereas with formula, you have to go to the store, you have to purchase the cans, you have to make, and formula is not cheap, and it doesn't taste good. And then you have to prepare it correctly, because we
right.
do it, because I know this is always a question. Well, do you make everybody breastfeed? The BabyFriendly Hospital initiative is not intended, nor does San Juan Regional intend, to force anybody who does not wish to breastfeed to breastfeed. There are moms who say, you know what, I tried it once, it was painful, it was uncomfortable, I didn't feel right doing it, and it's not my job to convince anybody how to live their life. So we do work with any mom who is choosing to formula feed and teach them how to correctly and safely prepare formula.
That's important, too.
It is
Very
important. It really is, because what people are not aware of is that powdered formula is not sterile.
No.
It requires safe preparation, which the safest way is to boil the water and mix it while the water is boiling, because there is potential for bacterial contamination of formula. So we individually teach each mom who is choosing formula to correctly and safely prepare formula, to make sure they wash their hands, they wash everything, they boil all their equipment.
Right. And then, of course, once it's made, it has to be then cooled down to the correct temperature before you even try to feed it to your.
Yes, you would cool. You can make more than you need for one feeding.
Sure.
You can place, make up to 24 hours worth and store it in the refrigerator, and then warm it up as needed.
Which is important. But I guess it's important for folks to know, though, that while you're a big advocate of breastfeeding and talk about all the benefits and things like that, it is the final choice still relies with the mom.
Absolutely. I always joke with the moms, you're not taking me home with you.
Right.
Right. I'm here and I'm available for you as needed. And what we hope will happen over time is that, because we provide a lot of support for breastfeeding, you'll find that you get moms who maybe their sister then comes in and has a baby, or their cousin or their friend, and they have learned about breastfeeding from us, and then they can also in that way help their friends, their family, and they can learn from them, because historically women taught other women.
Right.
Say 100 years ago or so, if you had difficulty with breastfeeding, there were no lactation consultants. You would have had your mom or your grandma or your cousin or your friend or your neighbor would have helped you with breastfeeding, and women helped other women breastfeed. But the knowledge of breastfeeding was lost when we got down to, I think it was in the 1970s, maybe 20% of women breastfed.
Wow.
And now at San Juan Regional, most months we have over 90% of moms at least start breastfeeding. Mm-hmm. So even if the baby doesn't get the full recommendation, and the full recommendation is that by all standards, the recommendation is that women should exclusively breastfeed for the first 6 months of life. So babies shouldn't be fed Coke, Sprite, anything like that.
Right.
No, they shouldn't be given anything but breast milk during the first 6 months of life. And then after 6 months, the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that babies are breastfed for at least 12 months of life, and for longer if the mom and baby wish to continue breastfeeding. The World Health Organization actually recommends that babies breastfeed for up to 2 years or longer. And we do see increasing rates, albeit the numbers are not huge, but we do see moms who come back who say, yeah, I breastfed my first one till she was 2. Or I'm still breastfeeding my first one and I'm having another baby and I want to continue breastfeeding both of them, and that can also work.
Interesting. Pip Howard is my guest this morning. She is a lactation consultant at San Juan Regional Medical Center, and also she's a childbirth educator at the hospital as well. We're going to take a short break. The phone number, though, if you would like more information about anything that we're talking about, any type of support for breastfeeding for new moms or any mom, 505-609-6484. Back with more with my guest in just a moment here on KSJE. The time right now is 8:30. This program on KSJE is supported by Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation, providing a competent, innovative, and caring team of professionals to serve wealth management, trust administration, employee benefit plans, retirement planning, and estate settlement needs. Find out more about Citizens Trust and Investment Corporation at 505-599-0181.
Sales made global shipping possible. Can they make it greener? From American Public Media, this is Marketplace Tech, demystifying the digital economy. I'm Jed Kim, in for Molly Wood.
Marketplace Tech is supported by T. Rowe Price, offering a strategic investing approach that examines opportunities firsthand. Since 1937, T. Rowe Price, invest with confidence. And by Babbel, a European-made language learning program. Babbel teaches practical conversation in Italian, Russian, Swedish, and other languages. Available in the App Store or online at babbel.com.
The UN's International Maritime Organization is committed to cutting shipping emissions in half by 2050. That matters because shipping moves 90% of global trade. Right now, if shipping were a country, its emissions would rank 6th in the world.
It would fall between Japan and Germany, and it would fall, of course, below the big emitters, the China, the U.S.
That's James Corbett, a professor in the School of Marine Science and Policy at the University of Delaware. He says part of the solution will be tech. I talked to Corbett first about high-tech sails, and no, these aren't the flapping sheets you're thinking of. Corbett mentioned one solution being developed in Japan, a rigid surface covered with solar panels.
Having the ability to create a hybrid power system that is using the opportunity to expose these rigid surfaces to light and extract the solar power from them and store that into batteries that'll be located down near the engine spaces, and use those big solar panels as movable sails to adjust to the angle for maximum wind assist is going to be a real exciting kind of